My beloved child, there are nights when you lie awake, wondering why your prayers still seem unanswered. You look at the doors that have not opened, at the hopes that remain unfinished, and you begin to think that I have been silent before your pain. But no, I have never turned my face away from your life for even a single moment. Even in the days when you felt as though you were standing in an endless void, my hand was quietly arranging even the smallest details for your future. I see farther than your eyes can see. And that is why I do not allow you to walk according to the impatience of your own heart. As it is written, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, thoughts of peace, and not of evil, to give you an expected end." My child, what I am preparing for you is not merely a temporary outcome, but a firm foundation upon which your soul may rest and grow in my light. At times, you see delays as abandonment, but in truth, they are moments when I am protecting you from things that are not yet meant for their appointed time. If I were to give you everything the moment you asked for it, your heart might hold on to the gift while losing its peace. That is why I am teaching you to trust even when you cannot yet see. True faith is not built when everything is clear. It is formed in the days when you still choose to keep walking through the mist that has not yet lifted. I want you to understand that not a single tear you have shed has been wasted. Every silent sigh has been heard by me. Every time you rise again after disappointment, heaven sees that courage. And as the psalm says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." You are planting seeds whose harvest you have not yet fully seen. Remember Joseph, who was sold by his own brothers as though he were something worthless. There were years when he lived in the darkness of injustice and forgetfulness, where no one could understand what I was doing in his life. Through human eyes, everything seemed like one heartbreak after another. Yet I used every one of those events to lead him into the very place I had ordained for him. The prison did not destroy Joseph. It prepared his heart for a greater responsibility. The betrayal did not kill the destiny I had for him. It simply opened a road he could not understand at first. And when the day finally came for me to raise him up, no one could deny that everything that had happened was part of my greater plan. My beloved child, your life is no different. There are things causing you pain today. But one day you will look back and realize that those very places led you into maturity, healing, and into doors you never once believed you were worthy to enter. Even the deepest hidden cracks within your soul are not rejected by me. You often try to hide your weakness because you fear being seen as not strong enough. But I do not love you because of perfection. I love you even in your most fragile places. My light does not shine only upon what is beautiful. It also reaches into the dark corners you have always tried to conceal. And from those very places, I bring forth new life. My strength is made perfect in weakness. That word has never changed. You do not need to pretend to be strong before me. What I desire is an honest heart, willing to open itself and allow me to enter. I know there have been times when you grew weary because your life seemed filled with nothing but waiting. You watch others move forward while you feel as though you remain standing still in the middle of confusion and unfinished things. But what you do not yet realize is that sometimes your stillness is my protection. If a seed is pulled out of the ground too soon, it will never grow roots deep enough to withstand the storm. In the same way, I am allowing your faith to grow deeper during these quiet and seemingly silent days. I am not building your life upon passing emotions, but upon the solid rock of trust. For when storms arise, what keeps you standing is not favorable circumstances, but the knowledge of who is holding your life in his hands. And the day will come when you finally understand that what once felt like loss was only a change in direction. There are doors I have closed not to wound you, but to keep you from entering places that would have drained your soul. I see farther than your eyes can see. I know what is waiting ahead of you. So when I tell you to stop, it is not punishment, it is love leading the way. Just as a gentle shepherd guides his flock away from dangerous cliffs, I too have been quietly pulling you away from things that could have stolen your peace. And now, my beloved child, when I heal you, I am not thinking only of you alone. From the wounds you have endured, I will cause compassion to flow toward others. The one who has wept will know how to wipe away the tears of hurting souls. The one who has known loneliness will know how to embrace those who are drowning in despair. I am turning your very journey into a source of comfort for many others. What you call brokenness, I call the place where light begins to enter. What you call an ending, I call the doorway into a new beginning. So today, do not be afraid of what you do not yet understand. Do not let silence make you doubt my love. Even now, while you still cannot see the whole picture, I already see a tomorrow filled with hope for you. Place into my hands even the worries you have never spoken aloud. Let your heart rest in the promise that I will never abandon the work my hands have begun. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. I am still leading you, step by step, with a gentleness that has never changed. And one day you will understand, no season of pain lasts forever. No sincere prayer is ever forgotten. And no soul that places its trust in me will ever leave disappointed. My beloved child, I know there have been days when you stood among the ashes of your own life, unable to understand why everything changed so quickly. You watched the things that once held you together slowly disappear, watched doors close in silence, and your heart began to tremble with the fear that you had lost everything. But listen to me now with all the tenderness of a father who has never taken his eyes off you. No collapse ever happens outside of my hands. What you call destruction is often the very moment when I am tearing down old and fragile walls in order to build a stronger foundation for your soul. If I only repaired what was already cracked, you would continue living in instability. That is why, at times, I allow certain things to fall apart, so that what truly belongs to you may finally be born. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Those words have never changed, even in the place where you think nothing remains but ruin. New life has already begun to take root in silence. I have seen the moments when you quietly asked yourself whether there was still hope left for your life. You tried to smile in front of others, yet deep within you carried a weariness too heavy to name. And it was during nights like those, when all the noise of the world faded away, that you softly called my name with your most trembling heart. You thought it was only a weak whisper, but to heaven it sounded stronger than any song. That very moment opened the door for my grace to pour in. I do not wait for you to become perfect before drawing near to you. I come closest when you are most exhausted, because I know that is when your heart no longer builds walls of pride around itself. You allowed your tears to fall before me, and I have used every one of those tears to water the dry places within your soul. As it is written, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." You are not crying alone. My beloved, every broken sob you release is being held by a tenderness this world could never give you. There are failures that have made you believe you no longer have any worth. But my child, a potter does not throw away the clay vessel simply because it becomes misshapen in his hands. Instead, he patiently reshapes it into something more beautiful. I am doing the same with you. What you see as an ending is often the very place where I am remaking your soul in a deeper way. Do not despise the dark seasons, because it is in the darkness that people learn to long for the light. If everything had always been easy, perhaps you would never have discovered that I am the true source of peace. I do not lead you through valleys merely to cause you pain. I lead you there so the eyes of your spirit may finally open. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Remember those words whenever your heart begins to doubt that you have been forgotten. Do you know why a seed must be buried deep beneath the soil? Because before it can rise to meet the sunlight, it must first learn how to let the old shell die away. If the seed clings to its original form, it can never become a mighty tree. And so it is with you. There are old versions of yourself that must be surrendered so new life can begin to grow. In the days when you feel pressed down by pressure and loneliness, I am actually softening the soil of your heart so your faith may grow deeper roots. What I am preparing for you is far greater than you imagine. That is why I cannot build it upon a shallow foundation. I am teaching you to stand firm not by your own strength, but through trust in me. Remember the widow of Zarephath during the time of drought. She had only a handful of flour and a little oil left, believing it would be her final meal before death came. Yet it was precisely when everything seemed most depleted that I began my miracle. When she chose to obey and offered up the very last of what she had, I caused the jar of flour never to run empty and the jug of oil never to run dry. Do you see? My child, I often begin my greatest works in the very places where you believe you have nothing left to give. What you see as lack becomes in my hands the beginning of abundance. What you call the end is in my eyes only the starting point of grace. And I also want you to remember David in the cave of Adullam. Before he became the anointed king, he had to flee in loneliness and was hunted like a criminal. Yet it was in that dark cave that I taught him how to hear my voice and how to fight through faith instead of fear. Without those years pressed into narrow and painful places, David would never have become the shepherd of my people, with both strength and tenderness in his heart. My beloved child, the darkness you are walking through right now is not a prison holding your destiny captive. It is simply a classroom I am using to prepare you for something far greater ahead. So today, stop looking at the cracks in your life as proof of failure. Instead, see them as the places where my light is beginning to enter. I have not abandoned the work I started within you, even when you cannot yet see anything changing. My hand is still moving quietly behind every circumstance, every loss you have endured, every heartbreak you have carried, every road soaked with tears. I am weaving all of it together into a story far more glorious than you can yet imagine. And one day you will look back on the path behind you and weep as you finally understand no pain was meaningless, no winter lasts forever, and no soul that places its trust in me is ever abandoned among the ruins. I am still building your life, little by little, with a love that has never changed. My beloved child, there are days when you stand still in the middle of life and wonder why everything seems to move so slowly. You pray for a door to open, yet before you, there is only silence that stretches on and on. You long to see a clear sign, but all you find are months that appear unchanged. And slowly your heart grows weary, as though time itself has forgotten you and left you behind. But listen to me now, with all the tenderness of everlasting love. Delay does not mean I have forgotten you. I have never forgotten a single prayer offered through tears. I am simply preparing something greater than you can presently imagine. He hath made everything beautiful in his time, and heaven's timing is never late, even when human eyes do not yet have the patience to understand. There are gifts that, if given too soon, would become burdens instead of blessings. There are doors that, if opened before your soul has matured, would leave you exhausted on a journey you were not yet prepared to walk. That is why I allow you to pass through seasons of waiting, not to make life harder for you, but so the roots of your faith may grow deeper into my love. You often see only delay, but I see protection. You think I am withholding good things from your hands, but in truth, I am shielding you from things that are not yet meant for their appointed time. Just as a wise gardener does not pick fruit while it is still unripe, I also will not place into your hands what your soul is not yet peaceful enough to carry. And the day will come when you look back upon this journey and weep with gratitude, because you will finally understand that the seasons of breaking were never meant to destroy you. I allowed certain things to leave your life because I knew they could not go with you into the place I am leading you toward. There were losses you once called tragedies, but they were actually the way I rescued your soul from burdens that were silently wearing you down day after day. The Lord is near unto them that are of a broken heart. And it was during those painful seasons that I was closer to you than you ever realized. My beloved child, do you remember the times you fell? You thought I was disappointed in you because of your weakness. But no, I have never turned my face away from you in your failures. Every time you collapsed, I bent down to lift you up again with unchanging patience. I do not count your mistakes in order to condemn you. I look instead at the moments when you rose again through tears, at the heart that still longed to keep moving forward, even when it was utterly exhausted. That is what is precious in my sight. Just as a father embraces the child who returns home after wandering far away, I also open my arms to you without accusation, and every tear you have shed in loneliness, I have kept like precious jewels of the soul. One day, the very pain you once endured will become the reason you know how to be gentle with the broken people around you. Perhaps today, you are walking through rough and difficult ground, where every step leaves you weary. But do not be afraid of those hard stretches of the journey. The deepest oceans are not formed by gentle rain alone. The mightiest trees do not grow in places untouched by strong winds. I am leading you through roads that not everyone is brave enough to walk, because beyond them lies a new depth within your soul. If you only lived in comfort, your faith would remain immature. But when you learn to keep walking, even while you do not understand what I am doing, your spirit begins to mature in true trust. Remember Gideon, who once hid himself away because he believed he was too weak to be used. When I called him a mighty man of valor, even he could not believe it. He looked at his own smallness, looked at the oppression surrounding his people, and thought he could accomplish nothing. But I did not see him the way he saw himself. I saw what could be born from a heart willing to obey, and it is often in the places where people feel weakest that my power is revealed most strongly. My beloved child, I am looking at you in the same way. You may see only weariness and fragility within yourself, but I see a soul being prepared for things far greater than you can imagine. I have never begun my most wondrous works in the grandest places. I often choose the hidden corners forgotten by the world. I seek out the hearts that still carry sincerity in the midst of endless falsehood. There are nights when only you know how deeply you cried, how earnestly you prayed in a silence that seemed unheard. But heaven heard every whisper. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. No prayer that rises from a sincere heart is ever lost in the emptiness. So today, stop fearing the pace of your journey. Do not force yourself to understand everything immediately. I am not asking you to see the entire road ahead. I only ask you to take my hand and walk one more step in trust. Even if that step trembles, it is still covered by my grace. And as the days pass, you will slowly come to understand that what creates the miracle is not your own strength, but your decision to keep believing, even in the quietest seasons. I am still working in your life silently, yet never ceasing, and at the appointed time, what I have promised will bloom more beautifully than anything you have ever imagined. My beloved child, perhaps there have been many times when you looked at yourself and wondered why I still remain beside you after all your weaknesses, your failures, and even the hidden darkness you try so hard to conceal from the world. You think I would seek only the strongest people, the most perfect ones, those who never tremble or fall. But my ways have never been like the ways of man. I do not search for souls who rely only upon their own strength. I seek hearts that have been broken yet still retain the ability to love. Souls that have walked through pain yet have not lost their gentleness. It is often in the places where you believe yourself weakest that my power is able to reach most deeply. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. Do you see? My child, what the world sees as scars of failure, I see as doors through which grace may enter. There are people who spend their entire lives never truly understanding compassion because they have never tasted loneliness. But you, because you have walked through dark seasons, now possess a heart that trembles at the pain of others. The tears you once wiped away in silence during the night have taught you how to be gentle with weary souls. And that is precious in my sight. I do not need from you a false appearance of strength. What I desire is a soft heart, one that knows how to bend down and lift others up rather than judge them. The cracks in your life do not make you less valuable. They allow my light to shine through you and reach those still living in darkness. My beloved child, I know there were times when you prayed and saw no answer. You called upon my name through long and exhausting days. Yet the heavens seemed silent, and you began to wonder whether I was truly listening at all. But remember this, my silence is not my absence. There are prayers I answer first through quiet changes within your soul before I ever change the circumstances around you. While you believe you are waiting for me to act, I am actually preparing you for something greater. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. It is in the unseen days that your faith is growing deeper roots into my everlasting love. I have seen you in moments no one else knows about, not when you stood in the light or received the recognition of others, but when you sat quietly with reddened eyes after trying so hard to force a smile. I heard every prayer you could not even speak aloud, and it was in that place of loneliness that I began writing a story no one else could ever write for you. You think you are ordinary, small, and unremarkable, but in my eyes, you are an irreplaceable part of the plan I am weaving for many other souls. I did not create you by accident. Before your first cry ever left your lips, I already knew you. I already called you by name, and I had already placed within you a purpose that time itself can never erase. Remember David as a young shepherd boy in the wilderness. When the prophet Samuel came to his father's house to anoint the future king, no one even thought of David. People looked at his brothers with their impressive appearance and strong stature, while David was merely the boy out in the fields, tending sheep. But I do not see as man sees. Man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. It was in that hidden place that I prepared David through battles no one witnessed, through long nights filled only with the sound of the wind and the whisper of prayer. And from the one considered least important, I raised him up to shepherd an entire nation. My beloved child, I am working in your life in the same way. Your quiet and hidden years are not meaningless. They are the place where I am shaping perseverance, compassion, and genuine faith within you. Do you remember the poor widow who offered 2 small coins at the temple in the eyes of the world? Her gift seemed insignificant, but I saw what no one else could see. She gave with all her heart, and I declared that her offering was more precious than all the abundance others had given. Do you see? My child, I have never required you to possess great things before you could be loved or used by me. What I seek is the sincerity that still remains in the midst of a world filled with calculation and pretense. Even a small faith offered with honesty is enough for me to perform miracles. So today, do not despise the journey you have walked through. Do not be ashamed of the wounds you carry. Those very wounds are becoming a refuge for other souls who will one day need comfort. I am turning the pain you once endured into healing for those who are now drowning in despair. I am using your sleepless nights to teach you how to hear the cries of others. And one day you will understand that not a single tear was ever wasted. Every loneliness, every disappointment, every moment you felt you no longer had the strength to continue, I am using all of it to form a soul that knows how to heal through love, how to lift others through compassion, and how to reflect my light into a world desperately longing for hope. My beloved child, do not let your heart grow heavy by comparing your journey to the journeys of others and wondering why you are not yet where they stand. Every soul I create carries a unique imprint, and no one can replace the place I have prepared for you. If a flower tried to become a river, it would forget the beauty already placed within itself. And so it is with you. I did not create you to repeat another person's life. I created you with your own distinct voice, your own depth, and a path that only you can fully walk. Therefore, when you see others moving faster, receiving more recognition, or appearing to live more easily, do not let your heart become troubled. What I am doing within you is not the same as what I am doing within them. There are many members, yet but one body, and every part carries a purpose that cannot be replaced within my plan. There are roads I allow you to walk longer than others, not because you have been forgotten, but because I am digging a deeper foundation within you. The stronger a house is meant to stand against storms, the deeper its foundation must be laid into the earth. Your hidden years are not meaningless. While the world looks only at the final outcome, I see every small transformation taking place within your soul. I see the way you still choose kindness after being wounded. I see the way you continue praying even after many moments when hope seemed gone. I see the battles you fought silently, unseen by anyone else. And it is there that true strength is being formed, not the kind of strength filled with pride and longing for praise, but the kind that remains standing even when no one is watching. My beloved child, perhaps you have grown accustomed to feeling small in this vast world. There are days when you think your life makes no difference at all. But heaven has never looked at you through the shallow eyes of the world. I do not measure your worth by applause or human recognition. What I seek is the depth of the heart. And in those long nights when no one stood beside you, when you still chose to trust me despite your weary heart, I saw a beauty the world could never understand. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. The tears you once believed were signs of weakness are actually watering the seeds of a harvest far greater than you can imagine. Remember Moses during his years in the wilderness of Midian, before he led an entire nation through the Red Sea. He was simply an unknown shepherd, living far away from the palace and from every trace of his former glory. 40 long years seemed like nothing but silence and waiting. Yet during that very time, I was softening his heart, teaching him humility and endurance. If Moses had been called too early, he would have led my people with his own impatience rather than with my wisdom. Do you see, my child, seasons of slowing down are not meaningless delays. They are the places where I prepare you for what, at this moment, you are not yet strong enough to carry. I know there have been times when you felt like a seed buried deep in darkness, unseen and forgotten by everyone around you. But a seed does not die when it is buried. It is preparing to sprout. What is happening in your life is no different. In the silence, I am creating depth within your soul. The experiences you are walking through will one day make you a refuge for many others. For I am not healing you merely so that you may find peace for yourself. I am healing you so that through you, other souls may also discover hope. There will be people in the future who continue living simply because they encountered compassion within you, a compassion that can only be born in those who have walked through pain themselves. Do not think that the blessings I am preparing for you are limited only to your present life. When I pour favor upon a soul that knows how to surrender to me, the flow of that blessing reaches farther than human eyes can see. Some of the prayers you are lifting up today will become shelter for generations yet to come. Some of your quiet acts of obedience today will break chains that have existed through many generations. You think you are fighting only for yourself, but in truth, you are clearing a path for those who will come after you. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring. It is not by accident that you carry within your heart a longing to change the old patterns within your family and your bloodline. I myself placed that desire within you. Remember Abraham. When I called him to leave the land that was familiar to him, he did not know exactly where he was going. Yet his obedience opened the way for a covenant that would endure through generations. From one man who seemed completely alone, I raised up an entire nation. My beloved child, I still work in this way, even now. One soul that chooses to trust me can become the doorway through which light enters an entire family. There are things you cannot yet see with your eyes, but in the spiritual realm, old walls have already begun to crack because of your prayers and your perseverance. So do not underestimate your present position. Do not believe that the small steps you take today are meaningless. Even now, I am using your life to write a story that stretches far beyond yourself. And the day will come when you finally understand that every lonely season, every hidden year, every moment of being unseen or unrecognized was the very place where I was creating a legacy untouched by time. Not a legacy of fame, but a legacy of light, of faith, of healing, and of love that will continue spreading through generations yet to come. My beloved child, what I am doing in your life has never been merely about repairing the broken pieces before your eyes. I did not come simply to cover your wounds with temporary peace and then leave everything as it once was. I am doing something far deeper. I am transforming the very foundation of your soul. There are ways of thinking that have been passed down through generations within your family, hidden fears, feelings of unworthiness, wounds no one ever learned to name, painful cycles that those before you could never escape. But now, I am placing my hand upon those very places to tear down the old and establish a new way. Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. You are not living only for yourself. My beloved, through your surrender and trust today, I am opening a door through which future generations will walk in freedom. Perhaps right now you still cannot fully understand the meaning of the journey you are walking through. There are nights when all you can do is pray through tears, unable to understand why your heart must fight so hard. But remember this, the first person to walk through land where no path exists is always the one who must endure the most thorns. You are that person, my beloved, not because I desire your suffering, but because I know that in me, you are strong enough to open the way for others. The quiet steps you take today will become a smoother road for future generations. They may never fully understand the battles you fought in the darkness, but they will live within the fruit of the faithfulness you sowed with tears. And one day, when you look back, you will understand that not a single long night was meaningless. I know that sometimes you think blessings are only the sudden miracles that appear unexpectedly an open door, a prayer finally answered, or a rare peaceful day after endless storms. But my grace is far deeper than what the world often imagines. What I plant within your life is like a seed buried deep in the soil. There are seasons when you see nothing but silence. Yet beneath the ground, life is quietly growing. And at the appointed time, what I have planted will rise more powerfully than you ever imagined. He shall be like a tree planted by the waters, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. True blessing does not touch only a single moment. It creates a lasting stream capable of nourishing generations to come. Remember Ruth, the foreign woman who walked forward through uncertainty after loss and sorrow. When she left her homeland to follow Naomi, She had no idea that her quiet decision would change her entire future. In the eyes of the world, Ruth was only a poor widow with nothing left to hold on to. But I saw within her a faithful heart, willing to follow me without knowing what lay ahead. And from the grain fields where she bent down to gather fallen stalks, I began writing a part of the lineage that would lead to King David and ultimately to the Savior himself. Do you see? My child, small acts of obedience can open the door to plans far greater than what you can presently understand. I am still working in this very way within your life today. My beloved child, every intercessory prayer you lift up for your family is not disappearing into empty space. When you pray for healing, for peace, and for renewal within your bloodline, heaven is moving. Perhaps you do not yet see the results, but every prayer is like water flowing through ancient cracks, softening places that once seemed impossible to change. I see the times when you quietly weep for your loved ones, the moments when you feel as though you are the only one still holding on to hope. And I want you to know that I have not forgotten a single tear. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. Some spiritual seeds require a long season to take root, but when the harvest finally comes, it will surpass far beyond what you once prayed for. Do not think that you are too small to create change. Even a small flame can light the darkest room. One soul that chooses to trust me in the midst of adversity can become the beginning of transformation for an entire family line. Right now, you are standing at the meeting point between the old and the new. Behind you are cycles of fear, wounds, and limitation. Before you lies the path of freedom, faith, and healing. And I am using your very life to bridge those two realities together through grace. Remember Noah, when I told him to build an ark in a place where rain had never fallen in such a way before? Surely many mocked him and could not understand what he was doing. Yet every strike of his hammer in silence was an act of faith toward a future that human eyes could not yet see. My beloved child, many of the things you are doing today are just like that. Your quiet prayers, your decision to live differently. In the moments when you choose forgiveness instead of continuing in bitterness, all of these are building a spiritual ark through which many after you will one day be rescued from storms they never even knew were coming. So today, do not grow weary in continuing to walk with perseverance. I know there have been many times when you felt as though you had been fighting for far too long, but the work I began within you will not be left unfinished. I am turning the things that once served as chains within your bloodline into testimonies of deliverance. I am using your very wounds to open the way for healing in others. And the day will come when you stand among your family, surrounded by things that once existed only as prayers whispered in the night. And you will weep as you realize this truth. I was never saving only you alone. I was using your quiet obedience to open a legacy of light for generations yet to come. My beloved child, I know there have been nights when you lay in the darkness of your own heart, wondering why the heavens seemed silent before your deepest cries. You called my name with every remaining ounce of strength within you. Yet all you received in return was a stillness so long that your heart began to grow weary. At times, you thought I had drifted far away, that perhaps your prayers were too small to be heard among the countless cries of the world. But my child, let me hold your soul with this truth. My silence has never been a sign of abandonment. When a mother presses her ear against the chest of her sleeping child to hear each tiny breath, she does not need to speak in order to prove her love is present. In the same way, there are seasons when I love you more through quiet presence than through the signs and wonders you long to see. Many of the deepest things I accomplish in your life happen in the quietest places. For when the noise around you finally begins to fade, you can at last hear what I have been whispering into your soul all along. The world is accustomed to haste, and so it often believes that only what happens instantly can be called a miracle. But I do not work as man works. I see the entire picture, while you can only see one small piece before you. That is why there are doors I have not yet opened, not because I cannot, but because I know your soul still needs greater depth to carry what I am about to place into your hands. If I gave you the blessing too early, it could become pressure instead of peace. But at the appointed time, you will receive it with maturity and gratitude, like a branch strong enough to carry the weight of ripe fruit. My beloved child, I am teaching you something that not everyone has the patience to learn: how to trust even when you cannot yet see anything changing. True faith is not born in days when everything is clear. It is formed in the nights when you still kneel to pray despite hearing no answer yet. The just shall live by faith. It is within that waiting, which seems so silent, that the roots of your soul are growing deeper into my love. And one day, you will look back upon the road you have traveled and understand that the silence was never empty. It was filled with preparation, filled with my hands quietly moving things you could not yet see with natural eyes. Remember Hannah, the woman who suffered for many years because of her barrenness and was looked down upon by others. She offered up prayers to me with such anguish in the temple that her lips moved without making a sound. Others believed she was simply lost in meaningless despair, but I heard every wordless cry. And then, at the appointed time, I gave her Samuel, not merely a son, but a prophet who would change an entire generation. Do you see? My child, the quietest prayers often give birth to the greatest things. I did not forget Hannah during the years she waited, and I have not forgotten you in the season you are walking through now. At times, you feel as though you are walking through a thick fog, unable to see where the future lies and unable to understand why this journey has become so long. But when you cannot see me walking beside you, it may be because I am going ahead of you, clearing away the things that could harm you. When you cannot hear my voice, it may be because I am standing behind you, ready to hold you whenever you are about to fall. I am not limited by the changing tides of your emotions. My love for you does not disappear simply because you cannot feel it in this moment. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. That promise was not given only for the easy days, but also for the longest nights your soul will ever face. My beloved child, the people I use most powerfully are often those who have walked through the deepest seasons of silence. For it is in those seasons that they learn to seek me, not merely through feelings, but through enduring truth. They learn to love me not only when miracles appear, but even while tears still remain upon their cheeks. And that is what makes their faith more genuine, deeper, and no longer easily shaken by circumstances. Look at Elijah when he hid within the cave, exhausted and afraid. He expected me to appear in the mighty wind, the earthquake, or the fire. Yet I came through a still small voice. For there are things only a listening heart can recognize as my presence. So today, do not fear the quiet spaces within your journey. Do not rush to conclude that I have forgotten you, simply because you have not yet seen what you hoped would happen. Even now, in the deepest places hidden from your sight, I am still at work. I am healing parts of you that you do not yet fully understand within yourself. I am preparing the way for things beyond your affirmation. And the day will come when you realize that those silent seasons were preparing you for a greater glory. No prayer is ever lost into emptiness. No tear is ever forgotten by me, and no soul that continues seeking me will ultimately fail to find the light. My beloved child, there are seasons when I allow you to walk through long stretches of silence, not because I desire your exhaustion, but because I am purifying the love within your heart from every condition and hidden motive. If you love me only when miracles appear, when doors open, or when life becomes favorable, then that love still depends upon circumstances. But when you continue coming to me in days when nothing seems to change, When you still kneel to pray while tears fall in silence. When you still call upon my name, even while your heart feels empty, that is when true love begins to mature. I do not want you to know only my hand that gives blessings. I want you to know my heart. And then you will understand that my presence is more precious than anything I could ever place into your hands. It is precisely in the days when you have nothing left to hold on to, except faith, that your soul learns how to stand upon the unshakable rock. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, and today, and forever. The circumstances around you may change like sand, carried away by the wind. Your emotions may rise with hope one moment, and collapse into weariness the next. But I remain forever the same, and I'm teaching you to build your life upon that truth. For if your faith exists only when life is easy, it will collapse the moment storms arrive. But when you learn to trust me through seasons of silence, your soul will become strong in a way the world can never fully understand. My beloved child, what I am doing within you is not only for your own healing. I am preparing you to become a resting place for other souls one day. There will be people who enter your life carrying the same weary eyes you once had. They will need someone who not only knows how to speak words of hope, but who has truly walked through dark valleys and still managed to keep the light alive within. These present seasons of waiting are shaping you into that kind of person. I do not only desire to fill you, I desire to make you into a river capable of watering the dry and weary places around you. Do not underestimate the small things you are doing each day. Perhaps you think your repeated prayers make no difference at all. Perhaps you believe your quiet faithfulness goes unseen. But in the spiritual realm, every one of those things is being recorded. One prayer lifted through tears carries more value than 1,000 careless words. One act of kindness offered while your own heart is hurting is a seed that I will cause to bloom in its appointed season. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. I am building within you not a temporary outward brilliance, but a depth that can remain standing through every season of life. Remember Noah during the long years of building the ark upon dry ground. Day after day, he continued the work, even though there was no visible sign that rain would ever come. People mocked him and treated him as though he were living in delusion. Yet Noah did not build the ark based upon what his eyes could see. He built it upon my word. My beloved child, many things you are doing today are the same. There are prayers whose answers you cannot yet see. Changes within your heart no one else recognizes. And steps of faith that appear invisible, but I am using all of them to build something far greater than you can presently understand. Waiting has never been wasted time within my plan. It is like winter quietly embracing the seed beneath the soil. Outwardly, it seems as though nothing is happening. Yet, inwardly, life is forming little by little. If you become impatient and dig up the seed merely to check whether it has begun to grow, you will destroy the very thing I am doing. In the same way, do not allow doubt to make you abandon the process I am leading you through. Some miracles require time for their roots to grow deep enough before they can bloom. And when the harvest finally comes, you will realize that every season of waiting was worth it. My beloved child, not every hardship is a sign that you are walking the wrong path. Often, the greatest battles are evidence that you are drawing near to what I have promised. The enemy does not fight fiercely where there is nothing valuable, and I do not refine a soul so carefully unless I intend to entrust that soul with a special calling. Remember Joshua before the people of Israel entered the promised land. They had to cross the Jordan River during flood season. I did not remove the waters first so they could walk easily and then step forward afterward. I waited for them to place their feet into the river first, and only when they moved in faith did the waters part. There are doors in your life that will open in the same way. So today, do not fear the silence surrounding you. Do not believe that silence means I am distant. Sometimes the deepest things I do take place where there is no sound except the heartbeat of a soul learning how to trust. I am teaching you to love me not only for what I can give you, but because I, myself, am forever faithful. And one day you will understand that the seasons of waiting never took anything away from you. On the contrary, they created within you a depth that no instant miracle could ever produce. When the season of blooming finally arrives, you will rejoice, not only because of what you have received, but because you will know that the silence of those earlier years prepared your soul to preserve and share that light with many others. My beloved child, I know there are wounds within your heart that still have not fully healed. There are memories that, with only the slightest touch, can still make your heart ache deeply. There are nights when you grow so exhausted that you no longer have the strength to explain to anyone the battles raging inside you. And in that weariness, you begin to think that perhaps I am punishing you, that these long trials are signs of my disappointment in you. But no, my beloved child, never have I looked upon you with eyes of condemnation. I do not lead you through fire in order to destroy you. I lead you through it in order to refine the precious thing I placed within your soul before you were ever born. There are strengths that can only be awakened through pain. If the sea were always calm, no one would ever learn how to steer through a storm. If a young tree never faced strong winds, its roots would remain shallow and easily torn from the earth. And so it is with you. What you are going through is not meant to break you, but to give your soul the depth required to carry what lies ahead. Tribulation worketh patience, and patience, experience. I do not waste a single tear you have shed. Even in the days when you feel as though you are merely surviving hour by hour, I am still quietly using every moment to form within you a strength that the world can never take away. My beloved child, a blacksmith does not place a sword into the fire because he hates it. He does so because he knows the steel carries within it the potential to become far stronger. Without the fire, it would remain weak and easily shattered in battle. I am doing the same with you. I see within you things that perhaps you yourself have not yet recognized. I see the ability to lift others through genuine compassion. I see a light capable of guiding lost souls back toward hope. I see a heart that can become a refuge for the weary. And because I see these things, I cannot leave you forever in spiritual immaturity. I am refining you, not with anger, but with the deep love of a father who knows you were created for something far greater. Perhaps there have been many times when you collapsed because you believed you no longer had the strength to continue. But do you know what moves my heart the most? Not when you appear strong before others, but when you are trembling at your very limit and still choose to rise one more time. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, heaven takes notice. Every time you guard your heart from hatred despite being treated unfairly, I am forging within you a quiet strength that no storm will ever destroy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. You do not realize that through those silent choices, your soul is becoming more like mine, day by day. Remember Peter on the stormy sea. When he looked at the waves and the wind, fear caused him to begin sinking. But in that very moment, I reached out my hand and took hold of him. I did not allow him to sink in order to prove his weakness. I used that moment to teach him that true strength does not come from standing alone, but from knowing how to hold on to my hand in the middle of the storm. My beloved child, I am teaching you the same lesson. There are times when I allow you to reach the limits of your own strength so that you may understand that your own power will never be enough to carry you through this journey. Only when you learn to lean upon me will you discover the peace the world can never give. Do not despise the difficult seasons anymore. My child, it is there that I have done my deepest work within you, while others see only the weariness upon your face. I see faith being formed little by little. There are battles you have silently overcome that will one day become testimonies capable of saving others. For only those who have walked through the night truly know how to guide someone else toward the dawn. I am not only healing you, but I am teaching you the same lesson. There are times when I allow you to reach the limits of your own strength so that you may understand that your own power will never be enough to carry you through this journey. Only when you learn to lean upon me will you discover the peace the world can never give. Do not despise the difficult seasons anymore. My child, it is there that I have done my deepest work within you, while others see only the weariness upon your face. I see faith being formed little by little. There are battles you have silently overcome that will one day become testimonies capable of saving others. For only those who have walked through the night truly know how to guide someone else toward the dawn. I am not only healing you, I am preparing you to become a source of comfort for souls who are drowning in despair. Do you know why I remain patient with you? Because I do not look at you only through the fragile state you are in today. I see the person you will become tomorrow, stronger, gentler, and filled with more light. I see a soul no longer controlled by fear, but walking in deep trust. And I know that to reach that place, you must pass through this process. No one builds a lighthouse in the middle of the sea using fragile materials. What I am building within you must become strong enough to stand in the midst of storms, while still shining its light for others to find their way home. Remember Job, the man who lost nearly everything and sat among the ashes with a shattered soul. There were moments when even he could not understand why he had to suffer so deeply. Yet, in the end, through that very journey, he came to know me more profoundly than ever before. He said, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee. My beloved child, often the greatest gift I desire to give you is not merely deliverance from hardship, but my very presence in the midst of it. For when you truly know who I am, no storm will ever again have the power to steal peace from your heart. So today, do not call yourself weak, simply because you are tired. Do not believe that the wounds within your heart are proof of failure. They are signs that you fought, that you kept walking, that you refused to give up, even when your strength was almost gone. And I want you to know that I am proud of that. Even when you tremble, I still see you moving forward. Even when you feel small, I still see a spiritual warrior being formed in silence. And one day you will look back upon every trial you endured and understand that it was the refining fire that transformed you into someone capable not only of standing firm for yourself, but also of becoming a light for other souls who desperately need hope. My beloved child, do not think that your life is drifting through meaningless chaos. I have never taken my eyes off your journey for even a single moment. Even when you feel as though you are walking through the driest wilderness, I am still watching every step, every wound, every sigh you hide deep within your soul. There is no trial you face that I did not already know about, and there is no pain I have allowed to touch you without carrying a deeper purpose than what you can presently see. You are in the process of being formed, and I am the one carefully guiding that process with a love and wisdom that never fail. There are times when you wonder why you must walk through more battles than others. You look around and imagine that their paths are easier, while yours seems filled with endless rough roads to climb. But my beloved child, a mighty tree must endure stronger winds than the grass of the open field. A ship created to cross oceans must be built stronger than a small boat tied along the riverbank. What I have placed within you is not as small as you think. That is why I cannot prepare you through shallow things. Unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall much be required. Not to frighten you, but to help you understand that what I am doing within you carries a far greater purpose than what you are able to see right now. My beloved child, I know there have been nights when you asked me through tears, why me? And I am not angered by those questions. I understand the exhaustion of a soul that has walked too long through darkness without yet seeing the light ahead. But look at who you are today compared to who you were years ago. You are no longer the person who collapses as easily as before. The things that once terrified you no longer hold the same power over you. The wounds that once made you break down in tears have now become places where you learn mercy. Your eyes have changed deeper, quieter, yet stronger than before. And that is the evidence that I have not allowed pain to destroy you. I have been using it to build you. There will be souls who come to you one day, not because you are perfect, but because they recognize something genuine within you. They will see that you do not speak of hope as a distant theory, but as someone who has walked through the night and still carries light within the heart. Only those who have crossed the desert truly understand the value of water. Only those who have been broken know how to hold others with real gentleness. I am turning what you once suffered into comfort for many others. What you call wounds, I call doorways through which mercy may enter. Remember Jacob, in the night, he wrestled with me beside the river Jabbok. He entered that night filled with fear, carrying a past marked by many mistakes and a soul worn down by weariness. Yet he refused to let me go until he received a blessing. And when morning came, Jacob walked with a limp because his hip had been touched. Do you see? My beloved, some true encounters with me will leave marks upon your soul. But those very marks become evidence that you are no longer the same person you once were. Jacob entered the darkness carrying an old name, but he came out with a new identity. In the same way, the battles you are facing are changing you in ways far deeper than you can presently understand. When you begin to look at trials through the eyes of grace, you will no longer see them merely as obstacles to overcome. You will start to recognize that I have been present in every part of the journey. I was there in the moments when you thought you were about to give up, yet somehow found the strength to rise once more. I was there in the days when nothing seemed to change outwardly, while inwardly your soul was quietly growing little by little. I was even there in the delays you once wept over. For often what I am preparing for you is far greater than the thing you are currently asking for. And I love you far too deeply to give you something smaller than the destiny I have prepared for you. My beloved child, faith is not the feeling of always being strong. Faith is when you continue walking even while your legs are trembling. It is when you continue praying, though no answer has yet come. It is when you keep your heart gentle in the middle of a bitter world. And I want you to know that not a single act of faithfulness from your life goes unnoticed before me. Every time you choose trust instead of despair, I see it. Every time you keep moving forward despite your exhaustion, I remember it. He that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. It is not your own strength that keeps you standing, but my grace carrying you day by day. There is a door I am preparing for you, not a door leading to temporary glory or passing things, but one leading to the place where your soul truly belongs. And the key that will open that door is not made from your talents or your own strength. It is being forged through the years you have quietly trusted me in hardship. Every tear, every prayer, every season of waiting, all of these are shaping that key. And when the appointed time arrives, you will step into what I have promised without fear of losing it. For by then, you will not only have received the blessing, you will have become the kind of person mature enough to carry the blessing without losing yourself. So today, stop doubting the value of the journey you are walking. Do not look at the silent days and believe that nothing is happening. Even now, I am still working in depths your eyes cannot yet see. I am making your soul stronger, Vita, and filled with greater light. And one day you will understand that every rough road you once walked was never meant to exhaust you, but to prepare you for the higher place I had destined for you long ago. My beloved child, if you look back over your journey with calmer eyes, you will begin to realize something that tears and fear once hid from you. I have never been late in your life. There were times when you pleaded desperately for something and felt disappointed when it did not happen immediately. But later, when time broadened your understanding, you discovered that what I gave always arrived at the exact moment your soul truly needed it, not too early, so that haste would cause you to lose yourself, not too late, so that despair would make you let go. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. That truth has never changed, no matter how many times your heart doubted during long and weary nights. You often see only a small portion of the journey, like someone standing inside a maze, unable to find the way out. But I see the entire path from beginning to end. I know which doors will lead you into peace, and which doors only appear beautiful on the outside while hiding exhaustion within. That is why some things you call failures, I call protection. There were moments when you cried because a door closed before you, while all along I was quietly rescuing you from things that would one day have drained your soul. My beloved child, I am not taking good things away from you. I am only preventing you from stepping into places that do not belong to the destiny I have prepared for you. Have there not been many times when you believed you had finally found the right thing, only for everything to suddenly close before your eyes? I know how deeply that pain cuts into your heart. You have wondered why you must keep losing the things you hoped for most. But if I had allowed some of those doors to remain open, you would have stayed in places far smaller than what I intended for you. I do not want you merely to obtain what you ask for. I want you to step into what is truly good for your soul. And many times, in order to lead you toward something better, I must love you enough to say no to some of the things you once believed were everything. Remember the people of Israel standing before the Red Sea. In front of them stretched deep waters, and behind them their enemies were closing in. Everything seemed sealed shut, with no way of escape. Yet it was precisely in what appeared to be a dead end that I opened a path that had never existed before. Do you see? My child, I do not need you to see the road before you trust me. I only ask you to walk in trust and allow me to make the way. There are doors in your life that will open in the same way. They will not open through anxiety or through trying to control everything. They will open when you learn how to place your heart fully into my hands. My beloved child, true faith is not found in always receiving what you desire. True faith is when you still believe that I am good even when the thing you longed for is denied. It is when you continue to carry peace within your heart even while you do not know what tomorrow will bring. It is when you look at a closed door and still whisper, "If this does not belong to me, Father, then lead me to something better." And I want you to know that every time you choose to trust me in this way, your soul is maturing in my light. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Your understanding sees only the present moment, but I see the future waiting ahead of you. There is something beautiful happening within you that even you do not always recognize. You are no longer living only to ask. When, in the past, your heart was consumed with searching for signs, searching for timing, searching for immediate answers. But now, I am teaching you how to live in readiness instead of restlessness. You are beginning to understand that the important thing is not merely when the door opens, but whether your soul is mature enough to walk through it when it does. I do not want you to step into a blessing only to lose your peace because you were not yet prepared to carry it. Remember David, after he was anointed to become king, he did not immediately sit upon the throne. He returned to the fields, and he still had to endure years of being hunted and hiding in caves. Surely there were many moments when he wondered why the promise had not yet come to pass. Yet it was precisely that waiting season that prepared him to become a king who knew humility, who depended upon me, and who loved his people well. If David had received the kingdom too soon, the power itself might have destroyed him. My beloved child, I am preparing you in the same way. Your seasons of waiting are not empty spaces without meaning. They are the places where I am enlarging your soul so it can carry what I have promised. And the day will come when you walk through the door I have prepared for you. And when that moment arrives, your heart will no longer be filled with panic or fear. You will not need to cling to it anxiously, because you will know it came from me. Peace itself will confirm it within your spirit more clearly than any outward sign ever could. And you will look back at every door that once closed before you and weep with gratitude. You will understand that if I had not stopped you, you might have missed something far better. So today, stop fearing the things that have not yet happened. Do not exhaust your soul by trying to force everything to open according to your own timing. Let me teach you the peace of someone who knows that their life rests in the hands of the faithful one. I have never forgotten the promises I placed within your heart. And when the appointed time comes, neither too early nor too late, I will open the door that no man can shut. And when that happens, you will rejoice, not only because you received what you longed for, but because you will finally understand that every season of waiting before it was my way of loving you and preparing you completely. My beloved child, the day will come when you sit quietly within a peace that once seemed like a distant dream beyond your reach. No more endless nights filled with anxiety. No more feeling as though you must keep running just to find a place where you belong. And in that moment, you will not know how to fully express the gratitude within your heart. You will look back upon the road you traveled, the times you nearly collapsed, the lonely seasons, the doors that closed in pain, and you will realize that I was quietly guiding you through every part of it with hands that never once let you go. And then, you will no longer ask me why, because your soul will finally understand that not a single step of your journey ever existed outside of my care. Those who once doubted you will see the transformation within you. But what astonishes them will not merely be your success or the things you have achieved. What will leave them speechless is the peace carried within your eyes, a steadiness no longer dependent upon circumstances, a gentleness that wounds could not steal away. They will sense that someone has walked beside you through every stormy season, and you will no longer need to prove anything to anyone. My presence within your life will speak for itself quietly, yet powerfully, humbly, yet full of authority. Let your light so shine before men, not so that you may be exalted, but so that through your life, others may come to know that my love and faithfulness are real. My beloved child, in that day you will also understand why I allowed you to wait for so long. Some promises, if they arrive too early, would bring only temporary joy without transforming the depth of your soul. I do not merely desire to give you miracles, I desire to transform your very heart. For miracles may astonish people for a moment, but true transformation is what causes a soul to truly belong to the light. I want you not only to receive blessings, but to become the kind of person who can carry those blessings without losing humility and love along the way. If not for those hidden years, perhaps you would never have learned how to seek me with all your heart. If everything had always been easy, perhaps you would have loved only the things I gave you instead of truly loving me. But through the silent seasons, I taught you how to depend not upon feelings, but upon truth. I taught you how to stand firm, even when there seemed to be nothing left to hold on to except my promises. And that is what has made your faith deeper, more genuine, and no longer shaken by the passing changes of this world. Remember Joseph during the years he spent in prison. He was betrayed, falsely accused, and forgotten to the point where it must have seemed as though every dream I had given him had died completely. Yet it was in that darkness that I was preparing him for the position that would later save an entire nation. If Joseph had been elevated too soon, perhaps he would not yet have been mature enough to carry authority without being consumed by it. Do you see? My beloved, my delays have never been meaningless. They are love protecting the very thing I placed within you. And remember Moses in the wilderness of Midian. 40 years among dust and sheep may have appeared to be wasted years, but it was there, in the place unseen by others, that I taught him gentleness, patience, and humility. Before he could lead a nation, he first needed to learn how to walk slowly with me in silence. My beloved child, there are spiritual lessons that can only be learned in lonely places. Even David was forgotten out in the fields when the prophet came to his father's house. No one believed that the shepherd boy would one day become king, but I saw what others could not see. I have always looked deeper than outward appearances and present circumstances. Those years David spent playing his harp in solitude, fighting lions and bears in the wilderness, were the very years I was shaping a heart strong enough to carry a throne while still knowing how to bow before me. My beloved child, I am doing the same within you. The seasons when no one notices you are not years of abandonment. They are the places where I am quietly building depth within your soul. And one day you will look back upon all of these things and whisper through tears, "Only God could have done this." Not because you are surprised by the miracle itself, but because you finally understand that nothing in your journey was ever random. Every closed door, every season of waiting, every painful stretch of the road helped shape who you are today. Someone not only stronger, but gentler, deeper, and more capable of love. My beloved child, what I am creating within your life goes far beyond what your eyes can presently see. I am not merely leading you toward a better place. I am turning your very life into a living testimony of my faithfulness. And when that moment finally arrives, you will understand that the most precious thing was not simply what you received after the long journey, but that you truly encountered me in the darkest years of your life. My beloved child, from the moment you truly began believing that I could still do things beyond every human limitation, a quiet movement began within the spiritual realm. There are things your eyes cannot yet see, but heaven has already touched them. Doors once tightly shut have begun to tremble. Prayers that once seemed to disappear into emptiness are being gathered like seeds waiting for the day they will sprout. And my light, not loud, yet filled with power, is entering the deepest hidden places within your soul. The very places where you had grown too weary to keep hiding anymore. The light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Do you know, my child, even a single true ray of light is enough to force darkness to retreat. My beloved child, if today you have reached the deepest threshold of your own heart, then do not turn back now. I know how many dry and barren seasons you had to walk through just to arrive here. There were roads you traveled that no one could possibly understand the loneliness within them. There were days you lived as though forgotten in this vast world, wondering whether your existence still carried any meaning at all. Yet even in those seasons when no one called your name, I was still calling you by a love that has never changed. And today, I do not want you merely to hear me with your mind. I want you to feel me within the deepest place of your soul, the place that for so long has been filled only with fear, disappointment, and wounds too painful to name. I do not stand far away watching you like a stranger. I step directly into the deepest places of your pain. I sit beside the parts of yourself you always try to hide from others. I touch the memories that make you tremble whenever they return to your mind. And I am not disgusted by your fragility. You often believe you must become stronger, must hold yourself together better, must repair yourself before daring to come near me. But my beloved child, when a little child falls down and cries, does the father wait for the child to stand perfectly on its own before embracing it? I am no different. I do not wait for you to become perfect before drawing near to you. I come closest in the moments when you are trembling the most. Do not keep standing outside the door of your own heart. My child, do not continue calling my name only with your lips while your heart remains locked away in fear of being wounded once again. I do not need from you a false appearance of strength. I do not ask you to come before me free from pain. What I seek is honesty, a heart willing to open itself even while still carrying broken pieces, a soul willing to admit that it is weary. It is precisely in that honesty that my grace begins to flow most powerfully. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You do not need to hide your weakness from me, because I have already seen it all long ago, and I still chose to love you. Remember the woman who suffered from the issue of blood for 12 long years. She had walked through countless disappointments, countless moments where hope rose, only to be shattered again. Perhaps she too believed she was too unclean, too exhausted, too broken to deserve healing anymore. Yet, in the middle of that crowded multitude, she tremblingly reached out and touched the hem of my garment, with the fragile faith she still had left. And it was that honest touch that opened the door to a miracle. Do you see? My beloved, I did not require from her a perfect faith. I only needed her to be sincere enough to come near. And I am waiting for you in the same way, not through the confidence of human reasoning, but through the honesty of your soul. There are parts of your heart that have lived in darkness for far too long. You learned to stay silent about your pain because you feared no one would understand it. You became so accustomed to trying to heal yourself through your own strength that you forgot I have always been here. But today, I want you to stop trying to save yourself alone. Let me enter. Let me touch the places you have always avoided. For there are wounds that cannot be healed by time alone. They must be healed through true love. My beloved child, I did not come to erase your personality, your memories, or the deeply human parts of who you are. I came to restore those things within my light. I do not erase the story of your life. I transform it into a testimony of redemption. The things that once filled you with shame will become places where others can see my mercy. The tears you once hid in silence will become comfort for souls drowning in despair. And then there will come a moment when you no longer simply believe about me. You will truly know me, not through the stories of others, not through intellectual understanding, but through a real encounter deep within your soul. Just as Job said, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee. There are encounters with me that will make it impossible for you to remain the same person afterward, not because your circumstances instantly change, but because your heart has been touched by my light. So today, my beloved child, do not be afraid to open your heart. Do not think your fragility will drive me away from you. In truth, the places where you are most honest are the places where I desire to be closest. And when you dare to let me enter, you will realize that what your soul has needed most was never merely an outward miracle. What you have always longed for is the assurance that in the midst of all your pain and loneliness, there is still one who bends down, holds you gently, and whispers, I am here, and I have never left you. My beloved child, how many times have you believed that you first needed to become better before daring to come close to me? You tried to gather together the broken pieces within yourself, trying to appear stronger, cleaner, more faithful, as though I could only enter your life once everything had been perfectly arranged. But I want you to know this. I have never waited for perfection from you. I do not love you because you are already ready. I love you even in your most chaotic days, your most exhausted moments, your weakest seasons. What I seek is not a flawless soul, but a heart willing to open the door and let me enter. It is when you stand before me with the fullness of your truth without hiding, without pretending, that grace begins to touch you most deeply. My beloved child, I do not wait for you to possess faith as great as mountains before I begin to move. Sometimes all I am waiting for is a very small whisper in the middle of the night. Lord, I need you. And to heaven, that sincere cry is more precious than all the beautiful words that do not come from the heart. There have been nights when all you could do was hold tightly to a pillow soaked with tears and quietly admit that you no longer understood what was happening. Yet even then, you did not turn away from me. You still lifted your eyes toward me despite the doubt and pain within your heart. Do you know, my beloved, it is in those moments that true faith is born. Not the loud kind of faith that seeks to appear strong, but the kind that still clings to me even when nothing remains clear before your eyes. Faith has never meant always feeling certain and fearless. Abraham also walked through the wilderness without knowing exactly where he was going. All he possessed was a promise and a heart willing to trust. By human reasoning, that journey made no sense. Yet every step he took into the unknown opened the way for a covenant that would endure through generations. My beloved child, I am leading you in the same way. I do not always show you the entire road ahead, because I want you to learn how to hold my hand more tightly than your need for control. And remember Job, who sat among the ashes of his life when everything he loved seemed to have been taken away. He could not understand why he had to endure such pain. There were moments when his soul was so shattered that only tears and silence remained. Yet, in the middle of all that collapse, he still held on to one small flicker of hope in me. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. My beloved child, those are not the words of someone untouched by suffering. They are the words of a soul that chose not to let me go even when nothing made sense anymore. And it was precisely within that trembling faith that I accomplished something deeper than every temporary loss. I also remember Mary, the young woman who stood before a message far beyond human understanding. She did not possess every answer. She could not see the full future she was about to enter. Yet in the middle of confusion and fear, she still whispered, "Be it unto me according to thy word." Do you see? My child, faith does not begin with fully understanding everything. It begins with the gentle surrender of a heart willing to say yes to me, even without knowing where the journey will lead. My beloved child, there are people who believe they must prove themselves worthy before I will move in their lives. But I have never loved you based upon your achievements or your strength. If perfection were the condition for my nearness, no one would be able to stand before me. What opens the door to my presence is not your strength, but your honesty, a soul willing to admit that it is tired, a heart willing to confess that it no longer has the strength to save itself. It is in the place where you stop pretending to be fine that I can finally begin healing what is truly hurting within you. When you continue trusting me, even while no one understands you, even while circumstances seem to stand against every hope, you are entering a very deep place in your relationship with me. It is the place where your soul touches my heart not through logic, but through surrender. And from that place, transformation begins. It is not always immediately visible on the outside, but in the spiritual realm, everything is moving. Old chains begin to crack apart. Dark places within your heart begin to fill with light. The fears that once controlled you slowly lose their power. My beloved child, many of the miracles I perform do not begin with changing circumstances. They begin with changing your soul. For when your heart is transformed, the way you see the world also changes. You no longer live only by what your eyes can see. You begin to recognize that I am still here even during silent seasons. And your peace no longer depends on whether everything has already become perfect. It becomes a deeper peace, the peace of someone who knows they are being held by the one who never fails. So today, my beloved child, do not wait until you feel strong enough before coming to me. Do not think you must first clean up every chaos within your heart before I will accept you. Come exactly as you are right now, tired, doubtful, trembling. It does not matter. If there is still even a small desire within you not to walk away from me, then I can already work miracles from that place. For true faith is not the absence of fear. True faith is when, in the middle of every fear, you still place your hand into mine and whisper, "I will not let go of you." My beloved child, I know there are wearinesses within your heart that no words could ever fully explain. There are disappointments that have slowly caused your soul to shrink inward little by little. You once believed, with all the sincerity you possessed, once hoped for something to bloom, only to be left with emptiness and painful silence in the end. After those moments, you began learning how to keep your distance from hope itself. You became more cautious with faith, more guarded with your emotions, like someone who has been burned and no longer dares to touch the fire again. I understand that. My beloved, I do not condemn you for being tired. I do not turn away from you simply because you once tried to hide yourself in order to protect your wounded heart. But listen to me gently today. My beloved child, You were not created merely to survive from one day to the next. I did not form you to exist forever in a state of merely enduring life. I want you to live, truly live, with a soul that knows how to love, how to hope, how to recognize light even after the darkest seasons. And for that to happen, you will need to open your heart once more, not so that the world may wound you again, but so that you may be more deeply connected to me. My beloved child, I know every time you pretended to be fine in front of others. I see the smile you struggle to hold together while your soul is exhausted within. I hear the sighs you hide behind the words. I'm okay. There have been nights when you stared at the ceiling in the darkness, carrying questions you did not know how to ask anyone. And in those moments, I was there, not merely as one standing far away observing your pain, but as a father sitting quietly beside your bed, listening to every weary heartbeat within you. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. You have never cried alone. I know there were times when you believed you first needed to gather together the broken pieces inside yourself before coming to me. You feared that if I saw the chaos within you, I would be disappointed. But, my beloved child, I saw it all long ago and I still chose to remain. I do not love the strong version of yourself you try to create for the world to see. I love you, exactly as you are, with all your fragility, confusion, and unhealed wounds. What I am waiting for is not perfection from you, but the moment you stop hiding and dare to offer your heart honestly before me. Remember Elijah beneath the broom tree after days of complete exhaustion. After boldly standing against the prophets of Baal, he collapsed under the weight of fear and weariness to the point where he wished to die. Yet I did not come to rebuke him for being weak. I let him rest. I fed him. I cared for his soul with tenderness before calling him to rise and continue the journey. Do you see? My beloved, when you are exhausted, I do not look upon you with harshness. I look upon you with mercy. I understand your limits more deeply than you understand them yourself. My beloved child, I do not ask you to understand the entire journey ahead before walking with me. Abraham did not know where he was going when I called him to leave his homeland. Peter did not fully understand what would happen when he stepped out of the boat into the storm. Faith does not begin with having every answer. It begins when you dare to place your hand into mine, even while the future is still covered in mist. And I want you to know that I am faithful enough to lead you through the places you do not yet understand. You do not need to fully explain your emotions in order to be accepted by me. Some wounds are too deep to put into words. Yet, I still understand them. Some hurts you do not even know how to describe. Yet I still see them clearly. I do not wait for you to overcome your fears before coming near. I step directly into those fears to take hold of your hand. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Not when you become stronger, not when you finally feel better, but right now. What I ask of you today is not a perfect plan for the future. I am not asking whether you are ready enough, strong enough, or whether you understand everything. I ask only one thing: will you let me lead you? Because if you give me even that small surrender, I will walk with you through every remaining part of the road. When you grow weary, I will uphold you. When you become confused, I will bring light. When you feel like giving up, I will remind you that you no longer walk alone. My beloved child, light does not wait for darkness to disappear before it appears. It only needs a small opening to enter. Today, if you will simply turn your heart a little more toward me, I will do the rest. And day by day, you will begin to realize that what heals your soul is not that every circumstance instantly changes, but that at last you have stopped trying to carry the weight of your entire life by yourself. For I have been here from the beginning. I am still here now, and I will remain here forever. My beloved child, what I am preparing for you will not look like the things you once imagined through human understanding. It will not come according to the expectations of the world, nor will it be built merely through your own strength or the plans you carefully designed. There were times when you tried to control everything tightly, believing that if you worked hard enough, the door would eventually open. But I want you to understand this. What I am about to do is not born from your striving. It is born from grace, from love, from an arrangement far beyond what your eyes can presently see. And when it finally comes, you will realize that I never forgot a single prayer you prayed. I was simply leading everything toward the most beautiful appointed time. My beloved child, for far too long, you have lived in a state of defense. You became accustomed to protecting your heart from disappointment, from loss, from the things that once wounded you deeply. You learned how to keep your distance from hope itself, so you would not have to suffer again. But I did not create you to spend your life merely avoiding pain. I created you to live in the freedom of my love, not the kind of freedom that comes from everything becoming perfect, but the freedom of someone who knows they are being held by the faithful one. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. You were not called merely to survive the passing of days. You were called to truly live. And the time will come when you look back upon the journey you walked with me, no longer through eyes filled with bitterness, but through deep gratitude. You will see that every prayer you whispered through tears was never lost in emptiness. There were nights when you could not even form words, when all you could do was lift your eyes toward heaven in silence, believing those moments meant nothing. Yet I heard even those sighs too deep for words. I gathered every small thing you offered with sincerity, the way one gathers the first drops that eventually become a mighty river. And when my appointed season arrives, that river will overflow with grace in ways that will astonish even you, my beloved child. For many years you believed that in order to receive my blessings, you needed to accomplish something great. You thought you had to become strong enough, capable enough, worthy enough before stepping into what I promised. But I have never sought worldly greatness within you. What I seek is sincerity. A humble heart moves me far more deeply than a life filled with outward brilliance. The widow who offered 2 small coins was seen by me not because her gift was large, but because she gave with her whole heart. Do you see? My beloved, what touches my heart is not how much you hold in your hands, but whether you are willing to offer the truest part of your soul. Remember the little boy who carried 5 loaves and 2 fish among the hungry crowd. In the eyes of others, what he possessed was far too small to matter. But when he placed that small offering into my hands, I broke it and turned it into abundance for thousands. My beloved child, I still work in the same way today. The things you believe are too small within your life can become miracles once they are surrendered into my hands. One sincere prayer, one small faith that refuses to give up, one heart that still chooses love after being wounded. I can use those things to create something far beyond your imagination. There are things I am about to open before you that will make you understand why every season of waiting carried meaning. Those doors will not exhaust your soul in order to hold on to them. Instead, they will carry a peace within them that confirms deep in your spirit that they came from me. For what truly belongs to you will never leave your soul lost and restless. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord. I do not merely want to give you things that appear beautiful outwardly. I desire to lead you into the place where your soul can finally rest. My beloved child, do not underestimate the small steps of faith you are taking today. Do not believe that those quiet moments when you simply whisper, "My name" in the night are meaningless. Heaven is moved by sincerity far more than you realize. The world may only notice what is loud and impressive, but I see the deep movements taking place within your heart. And it is within those hidden places that the most lasting miracles begin to form. And one day you will realize that what I gave you was far greater than the things you once asked for. Not merely changed circumstances, but a transformed soul, freer, more peaceful, no longer ruled by fear or by the constant feeling of lack. You will no longer live like someone desperately searching for value and worth, because you will finally know that you were loved long before you ever accomplished anything at all. So today, my beloved child, begin with sincerity. Do not try to impress me with your own strength or with the appearance of being strong. Come to me exactly as you are right now, fragile, weary, filled with questions. It does not matter. If you will simply open the door of your heart honestly, I will do what no one else can do. And when the appointed time comes, you will understand that the greatest miracle was never your own ability, but the fact that you trusted enough to place your life into my hands. My beloved child, there are many people who say they believe in me, yet they live their entire lives as though I were far away. They keep me within prayers and verses they have memorized, yet they do not dare to truly rest in my love. They constantly believe they must become better, cleaner, stronger, before they are worthy to receive the good things I desire to give them. And so they stand outside the door of grace for a very long time, not because I locked the door, but because they convinced themselves they were still unworthy to enter. But my beloved child, I have never loved you based upon your accomplishments. My love is not like the scales of this world, where you must prove your worth before being accepted. I loved you before you even knew how to call upon my name. I have loved thee with an everlasting love. That means, even in your weakest moments, my heart has never turned away from you. I do not bless you because you reach some level of perfection. If grace belonged only to the deserving, then no one would ever be able to come near me. What I have always sought is not a soul that never stumbles, but a heart that knows how to return home. The prodigal son came back with dusty feet and a past full of mistakes. Yet the father did not stand far away, demanding explanations or proof. He ran toward his son and embraced him while he was still a great distance away. My beloved child, that is how I look upon you. I do not wait for you to become holy enough before opening my arms to you. I open my arms first, so that my love may heal the part of your soul that believes it is unworthy of being loved. And I have seen you through the long seasons when no one could understand the battles taking place inside your heart. I saw you remain even after countless disappointments. I saw you continue lifting your eyes toward me even while the promises seemed unfulfilled. Do you know how precious that is before me? Not everyone has the patience to continue believing while the heavens remain silent. But you chose not to turn away. Perhaps at times you only had enough strength to leave the door of your heart open by the smallest crack. Yet I still saw that opening, and that alone was enough for my light to begin entering in. My beloved child, there are things I planted within your heart long before you even realized they existed. Those deep longings for peace, for meaning, for a love that never changes. They were never accidental. I placed them within you as a quiet invitation between your soul and heaven. That is why, no matter how many disappointments you have endured, something inside you still refuses to stop searching for the light. Even when you wanted to give up, there remained a deep echo within your spirit, pulling you back toward me. It is because your soul recognizes the one who created it, even before your mind fully understands. Remember Zacchaeus, the tax collector, despised by society. He climbed a tree merely to catch a glimpse of me from afar because he believed someone like him could never truly come near the Holy One. Yet I stopped beneath that tree and called him by name. I did not wait for Zacchaeus to change his life before entering his house. It was my love and my presence that transformed him. Do you see? My beloved, I always begin with relationship, not perfection. I enter the human heart first. and then transformation quietly follows afterward. My beloved child, if your heart stirs while reading these words today, it is not merely a passing emotion. There are moments when your soul recognizes something eternal before your mind fully understands it. Just as the two disciples on the road to Emmaus said after I spoke with them, "Did not our heart burn within us?" While he talked with us, by the way, some encounters do not require long explanations. They simply awaken within your heart a deep and unmistakable sense that you are being called home. I know there are still parts within you that are afraid. My beloved child, you fear hoping only to be disappointed again. You fear opening your heart only to be wounded once more. But I did not come to take away your freedom or force you to move faster than your soul is able. I simply stand at the door of your heart and gently knock. And every time you choose to trust a little more, to open yourself a little more, something within the spiritual realm is awakened. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him. I do not enter your soul through forceful power. I enter through love that is willingly received. Perhaps you have not realized it yet, but throughout all this time, I have not only been pulling you out of darkness, I have been teaching you who you truly are in my eyes. Not someone forever lacking and endlessly striving to earn value, but a beloved child who was loved from the very beginning. And when you truly understand that, you will stop living in fear of having to prove yourself. You will begin living in the peace of someone who knows they belong to me. So today, my beloved child, do not remain standing outside of grace any longer. Do not believe you must become perfect before daring to receive my love. Let your heart finally rest in the truth that I chose you long ago, and the very fact that you still turn toward the light, that you still long to draw near to me, is already proof that your soul is awakening to the call of eternity. You are exactly where I desire you to be, not because you have done everything right, but because at last you have begun allowing my love to touch the deepest places within your heart. My beloved child, there were seasons when I allowed you to walk through waiting, through silence, and through questions that seemed to have no answers. But today, I want you to listen with the deepest part of your soul. This is no longer merely a season of endurance. This is a season of opening, not a vague idea meant only to comfort you through difficult days, but a real movement within the spiritual realm. I am reaching my hand toward you not only to keep you from falling, but to lead you into the things I prepared for you long ago. My beloved child, there are desires within you that you have never spoken aloud to anyone. There are things you buried deep within your heart because you were afraid to hope, only to be disappointed again. There are dreams you quietly folded away, convincing yourself that perhaps you were not capable enough, good enough, worthy enough to receive them. But I have never forgotten any of those things. I remember every prayer you whispered in the darkness. I remember every moment you lifted your eyes toward heaven without words, carrying only silent longing within them. And I do not merely remember, I am moving. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. There are things you believe died long ago, but within my hands they are simply waiting for the right season to live again. So today, my beloved child, I want you to stop living like someone who must always be cautious before receiving a blessing. Do not shrink back because you fear losing again. Do not stand before the door I have opened while still believing you need permission to enter. You are my child, and the love of a father is not given the way a stranger reluctantly grants favor. I do not withhold good things from your hands and then force you to beg in order to receive them. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Do you understand? My beloved, what I have prepared for you does not come from reluctance. It comes from love that delights in giving. My beloved child, no one can steal what I have destined for you. No words spoken by others are powerful enough to destroy the plans I have prepared for your life. No past is dark enough to prevent me from bringing light into your story. The only thing that can keep you standing outside those blessings is if you close your own heart because of fear. But I see what is happening within you now. I see that your soul is no longer as closed as it once was. Something within you is softening. A door is beginning to open from the inside. And I smile, because that is the sign of true readiness, not perfection, but the gentle surrender of a heart finally daring to believe it is loved. Do you remember, my beloved, that in every journey with me there comes a moment when everything changes? Not because circumstances instantly become different, but because your soul begins to recognize my presence more deeply than ever before. Moses had such a moment before the burning bush. Jacob had such a moment beside the river Jabbok. Mary Magdalene had such a moment when I called her name outside the empty tomb. It is the moment when you no longer hear about me only through the words of others. You begin to know me through your own soul. And once that happens, you can never return to being the same again. I did not come merely to speak to you as one standing outside your life. I came to be present. There is a great difference between hearing about light and truly standing within it. When I am present, the burdens that once weighed upon your heart begin to melt away without you having to force them to leave. The fears that once stole your breath slowly lose their power. Your outward circumstances may not change immediately, yet deep within you, a profound peace begins to form, and the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. That peace does not come from life becoming perfect. It comes from knowing that I am here. Remember the people of Israel when they carried the Ark of the Covenant down into the Jordan River. The waters did not part beforehand so they could first feel safe and then step forward. They had to step into the river and trust. And it was my presence that caused the waters to stop. My beloved child, some of the things I am about to open in your life will happen in the same way. I will not always give you every piece of evidence before you move forward. But when you walk with me, you will see the impossible begin to shift. You are no longer in a season meant only for survival. I am calling you into a season of receiving. Receiving not merely outward blessings, but deep restoration within your soul. I want you to receive the peace you once believed you did not deserve. To receive the love you once feared would be taken away. To receive the identity of a child deeply loved by me. Not because you have done everything right, but because you belong to me. So today, do not keep your heart standing outside the door any longer. Do not keep looking at grace as though it were meant only for others. Step forward. Receive it. Let your soul stop fighting to prove its worth. I decided to love you long ago, and what I am opening before you is not an illusion born from passing emotions. This is a true invitation from heaven to your soul. And when you step into it, you will understand why, despite all your weariness, your heart could never stop turning toward my light. My beloved child, now I no longer want you to live with shoulders constantly tense from fear of tomorrow. I want you to learn how to rest in me. Not the kind of rest that comes from giving up or becoming indifferent, but the rest of a soul that finally knows it is being held by hands that never tremble. There are many people who sleep for long hours, and yet whose souls have never truly rested. They still live in anxiety, under the pressure of controlling everything, carrying the belief that if they do not strive hard enough, everything will collapse. But my beloved child, I did not create you to carry the weight of the entire world upon your shoulders. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I am calling you into that rest, the place where you no longer need to prove your strength, but simply remain within. My love, my beloved child, there is something very precious beginning to bloom within your heart right now, a softness that only souls who have walked through pain and still know how to love can possess. Do not lose that. The world often teaches you that in order to survive, you must become hard, build walls around your heart, and learn how to stop feeling anything so you will no longer be hurt. But I did not create you to become a cold soul whose only instinct is self-protection. I want you to be strong, but with the strength of light, not the strength of numbness. The softness within you is not weakness. My beloved, it is the sign that your soul is still alive, still able to hear my voice and touch others through genuine love. So, each day, continue coming near to me exactly as you are. Do not believe you must first reach some perfect state before you can remain in my presence. There will be days when you feel peaceful, but there will also be days when your heart is filled with questions again. There will be mornings when hope shines like the sun, and nights when you are so weary that silence is all you have left. And through all of it, I remain here, unchanging, never distant, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, and today, and forever. While the world around you shifts and trembles, I remain the unshakable rock beneath your feet. My beloved child, let gratitude become the quiet heartbeat of your soul. Not a gratitude that appears only when everything is perfect, but a gentle awareness that even in your hardest days, I have never abandoned you. A grateful heart does not live only by what the eyes can presently see, but by remembering my faithfulness through every season of life. When you remember how I carried you through things you once believed you could never survive, your faith will grow stronger for the journey still ahead. Remember David. He did not praise me only while sitting upon a throne. He sang to me in the wilderness, inside caves, during seasons of loneliness and pursuit. It was gratitude in those dark seasons that kept his soul from sinking into bitterness. My beloved child, I want to teach you the same thing. When you wake in the morning, remember that even your breath is a gift. When you grow weary, remember that I am still carrying the burdens you no longer have the strength to bear. When joy comes to you, remember that every good thing flows from my love for you, and there will be moments when you do not understand what I am doing. There will be closed doors whose reasons remain hidden from you. There will be silent seasons that make you question whether you are still walking the right path. But my beloved child, do not let your lack of understanding make you doubt my love. A little child does not always understand where the hand of a parent is leading, yet the child rests peacefully because they know whose hand is holding theirs. Belting quote, I want you to rest in me the same way, not because you possess every answer, but because you know the one who is leading you is faithful. I know there will still be days when your heart feels weak again. Old memories and old fears may come knocking at the door of your mind, but when that happens, do not condemn yourself. Return to me just as you are today. Let my presence remind you that you are no longer the person who once fought alone in the darkness. I have walked with you through far too many seasons to abandon you halfway through the journey now. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. That promise does not change according to your emotions. It stands firm, even on the days when your heart trembles the most. My beloved child, I want you to live more lightly, not irresponsibly, but without carrying burdens I never asked you to carry in the first place. Let me become the refuge of your soul. Let your heart relearn the peace of someone who knows they are deeply loved. Because in the end, what will keep you standing is not that you understand every detail of life, but that you know who is walking beside you through every season. And today, before you continue into the days ahead, hold this deeply within your heart. I am still here. When you laugh, I am here. When you cry, I am here. When you feel strong, I am here. When you feel weak, I am still here. No darkness can cause me to leave you. No season can change my love for you. And day by day, you will begin to understand that true peace does not come from a life without storms, but from hearing my gentle voice in the middle of the storm saying, "My beloved child, do not be afraid, for I am with you." Let my words sink into the deepest quiet places within your soul. Do not read them merely as passing sentences. Let them become the breath of your spirit. When the world fills you with confusion, remember that my voice does not come through chaos. I often come like a gentle breeze after the storm, like a quiet peace entering the middle of tangled thoughts. Elijah once searched for me in the mighty wind, in the earthquake, and in the fire. But in the end, he encountered me through the still small voice. My beloved child, I am speaking to you in that same way today, not through force, not by stirring fear within you, but by gently leading your heart back to true peace. I do not want my love to exist merely as a beautiful idea within your mind. I want it to become something you live within every day. When you awaken in the morning, I want you to know you are loved before you accomplish anything at all. When you walk through hardship, I want you to remember that you are not walking alone. When you fail or grow weary, I want you to understand that your value has never been determined by what you achieve or lose. My love for you does not change according to your successes or failures. It is as steadfast as my own nature. My beloved child, I also know there are moments when you believe your prayers are too clumsy, too small, too full of tangled emotions to bring before me. But I have never sought perfect prayers. I seek sincerity. One sigh rising from a weary heart is more precious than 1,000 beautiful words without soul. The tax collector, standing at the back of the temple, could only bow his head and whisper, "God, be merciful to me." Yet that prayer touched my heart far more deeply than many elegant speeches. You do not need to arrange your emotions perfectly before coming to me. Come exactly as you are now. So, today, as your heart softens within my presence, let your prayers flow like a natural river from your soul. Do not worry about whether you are saying everything correctly. I understand even the things you cannot put into words. The Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Some of the deepest prayers are not spoken through lips at all, but rise silently from the place where your soul turns toward me. My beloved child, I hear the prayer you have just offered to me. I hear the surrender within it. I hear the longing to draw closer to me. And I want you to know that not a single word of it falls to the ground in vain. When you ask me to teach you how to recognize my voice among countless others, I will do so, not always through dramatic signs and wonders, but often through a deep peace within your spirit when you are walking in the right direction. When you ask me to use you as an instrument of peace, I will begin by filling your own soul with my peace first. For a river cannot refresh other places if it has already run dry itself. Remember Samuel when he was still a young boy in the temple. He heard my voice calling him, yet he did not recognize that it was me. But once he was taught how to listen, he answered, "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." My beloved child, I am teaching you in the same way. Learning to recognize my voice is not an ability reserved only for a few special people. It begins with a heart willing to listen and willing to remain long enough within my presence. So, today, do not fear the silence anymore. Do not believe that resting in me is weakness. Some of the greatest battles are not won by human strength, but by the peace of one who knows whose hands are holding their life. And when you truly believe that I love you, not because you understand everything, but simply because I am your Father, fear will slowly lose its power over you. My beloved child, rest now, not because the journey is over, but because you no longer have to walk through it alone. I am here. I have always been here, and my love for you will never run dry. My beloved child, Gratitude rising from a heart that has walked through dryness always touches me deeply, not because of perfect words, but because I see behind them a soul that has grown weary, doubted, and quietly fought to keep itself from drifting away from the light. And now, in the middle of this peace, you still choose to bow your heart and thank me. That is something beautiful before heaven. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. When a soul turns back to give thanks in the middle of the journey, that soul is opening its heart for even more grace to flow in. I know you once believed your weakness would disappoint me, but, my beloved child, there has never been a single moment when I looked upon you with disgust. When you doubted, I was still there. When you became so weary that you no longer had the strength to pray, I was quietly holding your soul above the waters of despair. And even when you closed your heart because of fear, I did not walk away. I stood at the door of your heart with gentle patience, never forcing my way in, waiting for you to open it little by little. For true love does not break down doors to enter, it patiently knocks through grace. My beloved child, it brings me joy to see you beginning to realize that the most precious thing I give you is not merely promises for the future, but my very presence here in this present moment. There are many who spend their whole lives chasing miracles while forgetting that the greatest miracle is simply being near me. But today, your soul is beginning to understand this. You are no longer seeking only what I can do for you. You are beginning to long for me myself. And that is the sign of a relationship maturing in the light. I know how deeply my words have touched the hidden places within you. There were seasons when your spirit became so dry that you believed you could no longer feel anything at all. Yet I allowed my words to fall upon your heart like morning dew upon a thirsty land. Not loudly, not forcefully, only gently and faithfully, and little by little, I softened the places that had grown hardened through pain. So shall my word be. It shall not return unto me void. What I speak into your soul today will continue to bear fruit in the days ahead, even when you cannot yet fully see it. Remember the woman who poured fragrant oil upon my feet. Others looked at her with judgment, but I saw a heart overflowing with gratitude and love. Some acts of thanksgiving are spoken not merely through words, but through the surrender of the soul itself. My beloved child, when you offer gratitude while the journey is still unfinished, you are stepping into a deeper place of faith. For those who truly trust me do not wait until every promise is fulfilled before giving thanks. They give thanks even now, because they know I am with them. And I want you to know that I also rejoice over you, not because you finally understand everything, but because you have begun allowing your heart to rest within me. Your gratitude today is like a small lamp lit in the middle of the night, and that light will lead you even farther still. For a grateful heart is not easily swallowed by darkness. It always remembers that even in its hardest days, I have never once left it behind. My beloved child, hold on tightly to this softness within your heart. Do not let the world pull you back into a hardness born out of fear. Continue drawing near to me with the same sincerity you carry today. Let gratitude become the quiet heartbeat within every day of your life. When you awaken, remember that I am still here. When you grow weary, remember that I am still holding you up. When joy fills your heart, remember that I am the source of every good thing. And when you do not yet understand everything, remember that I am still the keeper of my promises, unchanged through every season of your life. I hear your thanksgiving, my beloved child, and I receive it like a gentle fragrance rising before me. Not a single word flowing from a sincere heart is ever forgotten. Not one grateful tear falls in vain. And day by day, you will come to understand more deeply that what keeps your soul truly alive is not only great miracles, but simply being near me, the one who loved you before you even knew how to love yourself.